Why are electric bills getting so expensive? Something strange has happened over the last few years. People are using less electricity in many cases, yet somehow their electric bills keep going up anyway. Families are replacing old appliances with energy-efficient models. Homes are switching to LED lighting. Thermostats are smarter than ever. And still, month after month, the bill arrives higher than expected. For many people, it feels like no matter what they do, they can't catch up. And the uncomfortable truth is that this problem goes far beyond leaving lights on or running the air conditioner too often. The structure of the energy system itself is changing. Electricity used to feel simple. Power plants generated electricity, homes consumed it, and customers paid for what they used. But today, the system has become far more complicated. Energy companies are dealing with aging infrastructure, rising fuel costs, increased demand during extreme weather, supply chain issues, and massive investments into grid modernization. And every one of those costs eventually finds its way into monthly bills. That's why people in completely different parts of the country are all experiencing the same frustration at the same time. Some households have seen their electricity costs double in just a few years. And the difficult part is that most people don't fully understand where the money is actually going. When your electric bill arrives, it usually looks like one simple number. But behind that number are generation costs, transmission fees, maintenance costs, taxes, infrastructure upgrades, environmental regulations, emergency reserves, and seasonal demand fluctuations. In other words, you're not just paying for electricity anymore. You're paying for an entire energy ecosystem that keeps getting more expensive to maintain. And there's another issue most people never think about. Modern life depends on electricity more than ever before. A few decades ago, a typical household had a refrigerator, some lights, maybe a television, and basic heating or cooling. Now homes are filled with devices running constantly. Wi-Fi routers, streaming devices, gaming systems, smart appliances, security systems, home offices, electric vehicle chargers, cloud-connected devices operating 24 hours a day. Even when people think they're saving energy, their baseline consumption is often much higher than it used to be. And utility companies know demand will continue rising. That means they continue expanding infrastructure, building backup systems, and investing billions into long-term grid projects. Again, those costs get transferred to customers. Then there's the issue of energy production itself. A lot of power grids still depend heavily on natural gas, coal, and other fuel sources affected by global markets. When fuel prices rise, electricity prices often rise too. And because energy markets are interconnected, events happening thousands of miles away can suddenly affect local utility bills. A heat wave in one region, a supply disruption somewhere else, extreme winter storms, droughts affecting hydroelectric systems, all of it creates instability inside the grid. And unstable systems are expensive systems. But perhaps the biggest reason people are frustrated is because they feel trapped. Most households have only one utility provider. There's no real competition. You can shop around for internet service, groceries, or insurance. But electricity usually comes from a single company controlling the local infrastructure. So when rates go up, people often feel powerless to do anything about it. That frustration is exactly why interest in alternative energy solutions has exploded in recent years. Not necessarily because people want to become survivalists or completely disconnect from society, but because they want options. They want resilience. They want more control over their monthly expenses. That's why off-grid systems, backup generators, battery storage, and small-scale energy projects are becoming more popular every year. People are starting to realize something important. The real issue isn't just expensive electricity, it's dependency. When a household relies entirely on one centralized system, every rate increase immediately affects them. And over time, that dependency creates financial pressure that becomes harder and harder to escape. Now, this doesn't mean every alternative energy idea is practical. Some systems are extremely expensive, others require heavy maintenance. And many people quickly discover that installing large solar systems or whole home backup setups costs far more than they expected. That's why there's growing interest in smaller, more accessible approaches. Simple efficiency improvements, emergency backup solutions, DIY energy projects, supplemental power systems. People are looking for realistic ways to reduce pressure on their electric bills without spending tens of thousands of dollars upfront. And honestly, that shift makes sense. Because energy independence doesn't always mean fully disconnecting from the grid. Sometimes it simply means reducing vulnerability, using less, generating a little more yourself, understanding how energy systems actually work, and being prepared when prices inevitably rise again. The average person can't control fuel markets, they can't control utility regulations, and they definitely can't control national infrastructure policy, but they can become more informed. They can learn how energy consumption works inside their own homes. They can explore alternative systems carefully and realistically. And they can stop assuming that electricity prices will magically return to what they were 10 years ago. Because all signs suggest the opposite. Demand is growing, infrastructure costs are growing, and the electrical grid itself is becoming more complex every year, which means understanding energy is no longer just a hobby for engineers or off-grid enthusiasts. It's becoming a basic financial skill. The households that adapt early will probably handle the future much better than the ones waiting for prices to stabilize on their own. If you found this useful, subscribe to the channel for more videos about off-grid systems, alternative energy, and practical ways people are adapting to rising energy costs. And if you want to explore some of the small-scale energy concepts and backup ideas mentioned in this video, there's a useful resource linked in the description that breaks down several approaches in a simple and practical way.